In the Comox Valley, the legend of Quinish tells how an old man had a dream where he was told to warn the Comox people to prepare for a coming disaster. The voice in the dream told him that soon the rain would begin to fall, and it would not stop for a long, long time. This constant rain would result in tremendous flooding, and the people must work hard to prepare themselves for this time. The Comox chief listened to the old man's story, and due to his respect for his elders, decided to take his advice. Groups were assigned various tasks, some to build more canoes, others to harvest much cedar bark and then have it prepared for weaving, as many miles of rope would be needed. Fish had to be smoked, seafood dried and preserved, deer hunted, and the meat cured and made ready. Yet others were to make capes and woven hats that would be needed to shed the rain. Even the young children had to give up their games in order to help with the preparations. Finally, everything was ready and just in time. As the voice in the dream predicted, the rain began. A group of the strongest and wisest men was sent to the top of the glacier, where they were to find the ideal location to attach the cedar ropes. The place of attachment was crucial, as the very future of the people depended on their correct choice. Before long, the rivers began to flood, so the canoes were loaded with their provisions, necessities, and people, and attached to the cedar ropes from the glacier. Soon the waters rose above the totem poles, and each day they saw things that were familiar float by. The rain continued to pour, the people became frightened, and the canoes required constant bailing. Days and nights passed, and the waters rose up the sides of the mountains. The rain was relentless. Eventually the day came when the glacier was almost covered, and every person began to pray to the Great Spirit. And then something they had never dreamed possible occurred. The glacier, the very one that they had seen and watched from a distance for many years, suddenly took on a life of its own. It began to float and broke through the surface of the floodwaters, the way a great whale breaches. At first the people were in awe of this unusual spectacle, but they soon began to understand what was happening. The people began to laugh and cheer and cry out to each other. "The glacier is a huge white whale," they said. "Quinish." Soon, to their joy, the rain stopped, and for the first night in a long time, they were able to have a comfortable sleep in their canoes. The next morning the sun shone through brightly, and there was great excitement in the canoes. There was laughter and words of praise in their voices. The people began planning celebration for when they would be safely back at their village. As the waters subsided, Quinish began to settle back into his former position, where the people see him and admire him to this very day, overlooking the whole Comox Valley as if he were resting upon a throne. So honored is Quinish that on the tribal grounds by the Comox estuary, he is symbolized in paint on the front of one of the remaining longhouses. Here the people assemble, dance, and sing in the shadow of Quinish.